Have you ever felt like you've lived something before? Or perhaps had a nightmare so vivid it felt like a distant memory? What if I told you the answers might lie in the past, from a life you didn't even know you had? What if, within your body and mind, there are traces of an existence that predates your current one? Invisible, yet real scars linking you to a lost time? Today, we'll delve into the mysteries of past lives, uncovering 9 signs that might indicate you've lived another life. Stay with me, because what you're about to see could challenge your understanding of reality and the soul. I'm John Blackwood, and this is the Midnight Daily News, your news channel where we delve into the unusual, the mysterious, the inexplicable. Here, every episode is a window into a world that many prefer to ignore. If you're watching this video, it's likely because you have a curious mind. A mind willing to question reality and explore what lies beyond what our eyes can see. Today, we'll be talking about a topic that sparks immense curiosity, yet also great doubt: past lives. Could it be that when we die, our soul moves on to another body? Is it possible that, in some way, we carry the memories of our previous existences? The idea of reincarnation has been explored by various cultures and philosophies throughout history, and that's exactly what we'll discuss today. We'll examine 9 signs that might suggest you've lived a past life. But before we dive in, I ask you to settle in, take a deep breath, and prepare yourself, because what you're about to hear might leave you with many questions. And maybe a few answers. In many cultures around the world, reincarnation is a central belief. Buddhism, for example, speaks of a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, where the soul continues its journey until it reaches a state of perfection. In Hinduism, the idea of reincarnation is tied to the law of karma, where our actions in one life influence the conditions of the next. And it's not just in the East. In the West, philosophers like Plato speculated about the concept that the soul doesn't die but transmigrates from one body to another. Yet, regardless of the school of thought, the concept of past lives remains an unresolved mystery. Now, imagine for a moment that you're living your current life, but somehow, the memories of another existence manifest themselves in dreams, recollections, or even inexplicable behaviors. Today, we'll explore these signs. If you've ever wondered whether your phobias, your memories, or even certain physical traits have something to do with a past life, this video is for you. And who knows? You might begin to understand your own journey in a whole new way. Let's begin. 1. Déjà vu, the feeling of having lived through something before. Déjà vu is an extremely common sensation, yet so intriguing that we still don't fully understand its origins. For many, it's simply a phenomenon caused by a small glitch in the brain's memory processing. But what if this feeling is actually a glimpse of something deeper? What if, instead of an error, déjà vu is an echo of our past lives? Some people report intense déjà vu experiences of places, battles, or even interactions with people they've never met but feel they've seen before, in another time. These cases become even more mysterious when they're described vividly, without any logical explanation. A famous case involves a woman named Virginia Tighe, who, after undergoing a memory regression, recalled being a woman named Carlotta in a past life in 19th century Ireland. She described the landscape, streets, and even the people of the time, and later, during her sessions, she identified specific locations, like a village in Ireland she had never visited. She detailed Carlotta's life so precisely that researchers and even historians were left astounded. Another fascinating case is that of James Leininger, a boy who, from the age of 2, began recounting vivid details of a past life as a fighter pilot in World War II. He accurately described the name of the aircraft carrier he had served on and the details of his death in combat. James, without ever being taught about the subject, seemed to know facts that only someone who had actually lived during that period would know. He experienced an intensely vivid form of déjà vu, recognizing and recounting details of his previous life with astonishing clarity. These cases raise a profound question. What if déjà vu is a window into a past life, a buried memory within the soul, waiting to be accessed? And what about you? Have you ever experienced a déjà vu so strong that it made you question what is real and what is memory? Share your thoughts in the comments. 2. Birthmarks or scars from another life. Birthmarks and unexplained scars are undoubtedly among the most intriguing aspects of possible past lives. There are cases where these marks seem to correspond to injuries sustained by a person in a previous life, often identified after a memory regression, when the individual recalls details of a past existence. One of the most fascinating cases is that of an Egyptian child named Nina, who was born with a mark on her neck resembling a strangulation scar. During a regression, Nina vividly recalled a past life in which she had been a 19th century woman who died violently, strangled during a robbery. What's most remarkable is that when the child described her own murder, she was able to identify the location and even the names of those involved, including the perpetrator. Another example involves Shani Devi, an Indian girl who, at the age of 4, began telling vivid stories about a past life in another city, describing people and places she had never visited. She had a birthmark that matched an injury she claimed to have suffered in her previous life. When an investigation was conducted, it was discovered that her description of her death in an accident aligned with the records of a woman named Lugby, who had died in that city under similar circumstances. These cases are just the tip of the iceberg. Many people are born with physical marks, such as scars or blemishes, that, according to reincarnation beliefs, could reflect physical trauma from a past life. How can we explain these coincidences if not through the possibility of reincarnation? 3. Dreams and nightmares. Dreams and nightmares have always been considered one of the most mysterious ways in which the unconscious communicates with us. However, when these dreams and nightmares seem to transport someone to a distant time, an unknown place, or even into the body of another person, questions begin to arise. Are they just dreams or memories from past lives? Many people claim to have dreams that feel too vivid to be mere fabrications of their minds. These dreams may involve historical scenes or specific moments from a life in another era. For example, a woman might have recurring nightmares in which she is a prisoner in medieval France, being led to the guillotine. Upon waking, she experiences such a strong sense of déjà vu that it makes her question whether this nightmare was, in fact, a real memory. In a famous case, that of Sam Taylor, a 38-year-old man, he began having repeated nightmares in which he was in a trench during World War I. He clearly saw himself as a British soldier, fully immersed in the conflict. After undergoing memory regression sessions, Sam accurately remembered his death on a battlefield in France. What's even more curious is that he was able to identify locations and soldier uniforms he had never seen before in his current life. These cases of dreams and nightmares are, for many, an indication that the mind or soul may somehow access memories of past lives. 4. Affinities with foreign cultures. Have you ever wondered why you feel an inexplicable affinity for a foreign culture, even though you've never had any contact with it? Some people, when exposed to a distant culture or country, experience an instant connection, almost as if they were returning to a long-lost home. This feeling can be so strong that it goes beyond simple interest or curiosity. It feels like a deep, intuitive bond. Take, for example, Brian, an American man who always felt drawn to Japan. Since he was young, he had a strong fascination with the language, cuisine, and even the traditions of Japan. His passion went beyond casual interest. He felt an intense pull, almost like something inside him had been there before. Through a memory regression, Brian discovered that, in a past life, he had been a samurai in feudal Japan. At first, he dismissed it as fantasy, but as more details emerged, he was able to recall his life as a samurai, his name, his village, even the people he knew. He was able to identify specific places he had never visited in this life, adding an element of reality to his memories. This type of connection, according to believers in reincarnation, could be a sign of a link to a past life. When we encounter a culture we deeply resonate with, it may not just be coincidence but a spiritual recognition, a memory from a previous existence that stirs something familiar within us. 5. Advanced and natural skills. Have you ever felt like you knew how to do something perfectly, without ever having learned it? Or perhaps, you mastered an advanced skill with ease, as if you had done it countless times before? Some people report this, saying they've acquired exceptional abilities with no apparent explanation, leading many to wonder, could these skills come from a past life? There are cases where people demonstrate extraordinary talents or aptitudes for activities like music, art, languages, or even physical abilities, without ever being formally trained or exposed to these areas in their current life. These gifts emerge almost spontaneously, sometimes from childhood, and seem beyond the conventional explanation of learning. A famous example is Shakuntala Devi, an Indian woman who became known as the human calculator due to her extraordinary ability to perform complex mathematical calculations mentally, without the aid of any tools. She had never formally studied mathematics, and from a young age, she demonstrated an incredible ease for doing calculations in seconds. Some believe this could be a remembrance of a skill acquired in a past life. Another example is Muhammad, a man who, without any prior training, learned to play the piano in an impressive and rapid manner. When asked how he acquired this skill, he said it felt like he was remembering something he had known before, as if his soul had already played that instrument in a past life. These phenomena are often interpreted as evidence that certain skills can be passed from one life to another, either through spiritual memory or by a deep energetic connection that transcends time and space. If you've ever experienced an unexpected talent or a skill you feel intuitively comfortable with, it might be that you are simply accessing a memory from a past life. If you find this topic interesting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comment below sharing your experiences, as I'd love to know what you think about it. And remember, if you want to keep exploring dark and mysterious topics like this, click the bell to be notified whenever a new episode of Midnight Daily News airs. Now, let's continue. 6. Inexplicable pain. Many people experience sudden and unexplained pain in certain areas of their body, which doesn't seem to have any clear medical explanation. This pain often appears without any prior injury or cause, and in some cases, it can even resemble the lingering effects of a wound or injury from a past life. These mysterious pains may prompt individuals to ask, could they be physical remnants from a previous existence? For example, someone might experience chronic pain in their chest, as though they had been stabbed or shot there in a past life. Another person might suffer from intense headaches, seemingly without cause, or even feel phantom pains in their limbs, as if they had lost them in another lifetime. One famous case involved a man named James, who suffered from excruciating pain in his left leg, despite no previous accidents or medical conditions. After undergoing past life regression therapy, James recalled being a soldier during the Civil War, where he had his leg severely injured and amputated. Upon investigating, researchers found that his pain patterns and descriptions closely matched the historical accounts of soldiers who experienced similar injuries in that era. In another case, Sarah, a woman who had unexplained back pain for years, discovered during a past life regression session that she had been a woman in the 17th century, executed by hanging. The pain she felt in her back seemed to coincide with the sensations of the execution. These mysterious pains have led some to believe that they are connected to unresolved traumas carried over from past lives, where the energy of the injury is stored in the body and continues to manifest in the present. Could these pains be echoes from another time? If you've ever experienced pain without a clear cause, it might just be a physical reminder of something your soul has lived through in another life. 7. Uncontrollable habits and obsessions. Often, we develop habits or obsessions that seem irrational or hard to understand, even to ourselves. These behaviors can be exaggerated, like a compulsive need to organize things in a specific way, or an inexplicable aversion to certain colors or sounds. What's even more curious is when these habits seem to come out of nowhere, with no apparent reason or origin in the present. Some believe such behaviors might be a reflection of experiences lived in past lives. For example, someone may have an extreme aversion to water, perhaps an irrational fear of drowning, even though they've never experienced such an event. Others might have an inexplicable fondness for certain activities, such as painting, dancing, or playing instruments, even without any logical explanation for their skills. In some cases, a person might find themselves repeating very specific actions or behavioral patterns, like a movement or phrase that seems to echo from another time. One notable example involves Emily Parker, who developed an obsession with classical music from an early age, despite never having had significant exposure to this genre. During a regression session, Emily recalled being a talented pianist in the 19th century, with a career dedicated to music. During her sessions, she was even able to identify the compositions she used to play and the musicians she had worked with. Another famous case is that of Michael, who had an irrational fear of horses. He couldn't understand why this fear paralyzed him, as he had never had a traumatic experience with the animal. After undergoing regression, he recalled being a knight in a past life and having fallen off a horse during a battle, which could explain the lingering fear. These uncontrollable habits or obsessions could be seen as echoes from our past lives, where certain behavioral patterns or traumatic experiences stay with us, influencing our actions subconsciously. Could these habits and behaviors be linked to something beyond our current understanding, such as a forgotten memory from a past life? 8. Attraction to historical or specific locations. Have you ever felt drawn to a specific historical place, like an ancient city, a battlefield, or a monument from another era? Many people report a sense of nostalgia or a strong connection to places they've never visited before, yet they seem inexplicably familiar. Imagine traveling to a medieval city in Europe, for example, and as you walk along the cobbled streets, you feel an instant connection, as if you already know the place. You can even picture yourself living there, walking those same paths, as though you've been there before. This phenomenon is reported by many people who feel a sense of belonging to specific places, even though they've never been to them. In some cases, after undergoing regression, these individuals discover they indeed lived in those places in past lives, experiencing intense moments and even key historical events. Tommy's case is fascinating. He always felt an inexplicable attraction to Rome, despite never having studied Roman history or the Roman Empire. During a regression, Tommy remembered being a gladiator in ancient Rome, fighting in the arenas and interacting with historical figures. He recognized details of Rome that he could never have known without those memories. This kind of affinity for ancient locations may be a sign that your soul is connected to a past life in that very space, in some way. 9. Otherworldly sensations and intuitions, connections with strangers. Have you ever met someone for the first time and felt an instant, inexplicable connection, as though you've known them for much longer than a few moments? This feeling goes beyond simple familiarity. It's almost as if you've shared a history with this person, but without any tangible reason why. That deep sense of bond can leave you questioning what might be behind it. Such experiences might not be mere coincidences. In fact, they could be traces of a past life connection, remnants of a relationship that transcends time. Often, when two souls cross paths in a new life, they unknowingly bring along fragments of their previous experiences, unresolved emotions, memories, or unfinished stories that create a sense of instant recognition and familiarity. Take the case of Jessica and David. Their meeting was nothing extraordinary, yet from the very beginning, they both felt as though they had known each other for years. After undergoing memory regression, they discovered that, in a past life, they had been partners in a quiet, rural village. Their bond was tragically severed by death, And although centuries had passed, their emotional connection was so strong that it immediately resurfaced in their new life together. These kinds of intuitions and connections suggest that, perhaps, there are deeper forces at work, something beyond what we can see or comprehend. Sometimes, meeting someone and feeling an instant connection could be the soul's way of recognizing a long-forgotten tie, a bond that has persisted across lifetimes. It serves as a reminder that relationships and connections might not always begin in the present, but could have already been established in the distant past, waiting to be rekindled. We've reached the end of another dark and intriguing journey. But before we close, I want to leave you with one final question. Do you believe all these experiences have a scientific explanation, or is there something beyond our understanding? Do you align more with the theory of reincarnation, or do you think these phenomena can be explained in another way? Either way, we can certainly say that all of this leaves us quite contemplative, don't you think? Leave your opinion in the comments. I'd like to know which side you're on, the side of skeptics or those who believe in past lives. This has been today's Midnight Daily News. I deeply thank everyone who watched until the end. I'm John Blackwood, and I'll see you in the next episode, where we'll explore more mysteries that the world tries to hide. Good night.